Welcome to Lux Manifest, the podcast,
where we empower people and inspire change.
I'm Mark Hildebrand. I'm the founder of Modern Leadership Coaching.
And I'm Curtis Gray, founder of Kane Legacy Studios.
And we're here to help you manifest without guilt.
Let's go.
I'm excited to jump in. I know I always say that, but dude, getting to jump on and this topic has me really excited. So are you?
I am always excited. Welcome back to Lux Manifest, the podcast, where we help you manifest your dreams through real tactics and mindset. Today, we'd like to talk about building success through identity. Be, do, have, which I originally learned from you, but I have heard so much about it. And there are so many winners in the game who use the same philosophy. Most people spend their lives trying to change what they have. Very few people realize that they have to change who are they becoming. Success isn't built by chasing outcomes. It's built by intentionally becoming the kind of person who naturally produces those outcomes. So most people believe success works like this. If I had more money, then I'd work harder, then I'd feel successful. Or if I lost 50 pounds, then I'd work out, then I'd become a healthy person. So that's have, do, and be. You can't wait to get warm before you build a fire. And that's the problem. So the reality is the opposite. Be, do, have. You have to become that you do. Then you get to have. So it's always identity first.
I love that. And I love the way that you put it. I feel like a lot of people, I know a lot of my clients, when they first come to me, they have the equation backwards. Like you said, they're like, you know what? When the kids get out of school, when I have more time, when things slow down. By the way, have you ever heard people say that?
Oh, yeah.
Then I will do it. And when I do it, then I'll become somebody different. And a part of me is like, well, no, actually, we need to work through that process right now so that you can get things to slow down, because they don't slow down on their own, right? They have it backwards, or they're focused on the doing, which is another conversation. It's like, oh, I've just got to do more. And if I do more, then I can have more. But it's just having the equation backwards. And there's nothing wrong with people. It's just that that's typically where our brain wants to go. It wants to go to the doing and to the having and not the being. And I think a lot of it also has to do with, because like even the whole idea of like being and identity work, I know a lot of people can't think of the tangibleness around that. And I have a couple ways that I actually teach and talk about that, because it's like becoming somebody different. How do you do that? And I actually have a way that I think about it to make sure that I can picture what that looks like, because otherwise it's just theory and it doesn't necessarily translate into actionable steps. But yeah, people are nervous about that being and the becoming part.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is that if you focus on the doing first, you do have to do things, right? You do have to put in the work, right? But the problem is motivation is temporary, whereas identity is more durable. Motivation is great. When you're motivated, when you feel motivated, you get things done. But what about the times when you don't feel like getting things done? What about those tough days? Yeah. That's when you have to ask, like, who do you need to become, instead of, how do I stay motivated? Because your identity is going to outlast any kind of motivation. Motivation is temporary. I'd say motivation is like an emotional state, whereas your identity is who you are regardless of your emotional state.
Yes.
Another interesting point is that if you are leaning into the doing, I think that your identity will help you build systems, and those systems will support the doing from a place of, I am this person. Your habits, the calendars, even using AI, planning, checklists, all support your identity, but they don't create it. What creates that identity?
Yeah. So I know we've talked about this a little bit before, like the difference between an adaptive versus a technical challenge. And when we think about like the technical stuff, that pops up a lot under the doing part of the equation, right? Technically, what do you need to do? What are the steps? What do I say? How do I put together a program? How do I make a sale? All that kind of stuff. But when you think about the things that really hold people back, it's the be part of the equation. Not just like who you are and who you need to become, because that's important, but like what are some of the thoughts that you need to have that would actually get you to do those activities, but not just do them with the right energy that will actually allow you to have and create something new. So let's say you're jumping on a sales call and you're trying to sell something, right? Now, if we don't take into consideration who you are when you're selling, we would stumble on, what do I say? What's the script? Like, how do I convince this person to buy this stuff? And you're not going to have much success because your be part of the equation, like who you need to be in the moment, you haven't really focused on. And so when I'm having a conversation with a lot of people, especially if they're like new in the entrepreneur space, when you look at their B part of the process, like how they show up, they're showing up with what I like to call get energy, meaning I need to get something from you. I need to get you to say yes. I need to get you to buy this. I need to get you to see that I have value and that you should pay me. And they call this
You can see that coming a mile away too.
Yeah. And the other person, like they may not even be able to communicate this, but they're like, I don't know why, but I'm not going to take this next step, right? It's kind of like you're convincing somebody to do something. And you can do the same exact things that a successful person could do it from, but you haven't become the type of person that really needs to do those activities. So for example, like if you're going into what we call serve energy is I'm going to give this person the best that I've got. I'm going to be unattached to their outcome, whether or not they take this next step. And I'm just going to show up as the best version of me, give them everything that I got. And when we get to the end of it, makes sense that I can help them. I'm going to offer that because I want to serve them at the highest level. And I know just jumping on a call versus fully being able to guide them through this process is going to serve them even more. When I step into that conversation and I'm starting to do those activities, the chances of those succeeding are exponentially higher. And if they don't, and we're just like, hey, this just wasn't the right fit, then we know that we're becoming somebody different in the process so that when we do those activities, we're doing it from a service-based approach. When I think about the be, do, have part of the process, I think about the be part of it is like our operating system. Have you ever had a slow-ass computer and you're trying to like run programs and things on it? You're like, what is going on? My frame rate is like 0. Why is this audio not popping like it's supposed to, right?
Every 2 years that happens.
Exactly.
Every 2 years.
and then you go out and you get some memory upgrades, right? You get an upgrade to your CPU. You get some upgrade. And then before you know it, everything's running super smooth. And that's how I like to think about the B part of the process is, are you operating on like the most recent update? Do you need an update in the way that you're thinking, the way that you're processing things, what you make things mean? And by the way, one of the hacks, because some people will ask me like, well, how do I know how to upgrade my system, my B part of the equation? And one of the things I like to think about is like, let's say you're trying to be a multimillionaire, okay? Let's say you already have that millionaire status. What do you think that person would think about this scenario that's happening? And what do you think they would do in that scenario? They're probably not second guessing themselves. They're probably not, I need to convince this person. They're probably like, hey, I need to serve you on another level. I want to show you what I'm capable of. And if you decide this is the right fit, perfect. But if you decide it's not, that's cool. It doesn't mean anything about me. I'm already at this point. I'm good to go. And so a lot of times the way that I like to hack it is think about what would the person need to think that already has this? Like the people who already have this in the world, the thing that I'm trying to create, what would they think about this scenario? And what would they do? And you look at those things, and if they don't match up to where you're at right now, that's okay. We all have be, do, have parts of our equation that we haven't actually lived up to yet. But that's the opportunity, is thinking about not just what you have to do, but the person that you need to be when you're doing it. That's really where the game changes.
Yeah, I love that because it's about consistency. And what you said is like, it's okay if you don't nail the thought process the first time. We're all works in progress. The truth is identity is built through consistency too, consistency of your actions. You said something interesting like about sales. It's convincing. So a lot of people think that their job as a salesperson is to convince people, and people hate to be convinced.
Yeah.
Most people, they either know what they want or they definitely know what they don't want.
Yeah.
So you're beating your head against a brick wall trying to convince people either way.
Yeah.
What you're doing is making your solution available. That's your job, making your solution available, showing them the value that you bring to the table. And that comes from your identity. It doesn't come from, like you said, a get mentality of what I want to get. Yeah. It's, I am the person who brings value to the world, and I make money commensurate with the value that I provide to the world. That is my identity. Unnecessary thoughts like, I need to convince people to buy my product or buy my service or subscribe. All those things go out of the window, and you just find yourself leaning into your identity, and that dictates your action.
Yep. I mean, even the whole idea of like convincing, one thing that I found out early on is that I can be really good at convincing, but do you know what happens when you convince somebody to do that? You have to convince them to stay around. You have to convince them to keep taking action. You're basically pulling them along with you. And it's just not something that I ever want to do. And when I'm being my real authentic self and I'm serving on another level, I do find that people are more likely to take action, but they're not taking action because I convinced them. They're taking action because they actually want the outcome. They're willing to work for it. And it's crazy because you can approach the same exact person from both of these angles, and one pulls out the high performer in them, and the other one pulls out the you need to fix me kind of thing, right? It's like, oh, I'm paying and joining this because you need to fix me. Way different results that they're going to get because one is, like we said, pulling out the best version of them as the high performer who's going to take ownership. And the other one is like, I'm going to depend on you to carry me through this. Could be the same exact person, but it's just psychologically, it's like how we call out to them is literally or not whether they're going to be able to achieve success or not.
You really do have to see yourself as a person capable of building the vision that you see. Because if you don't, you're going to self-sabotage. I have seen this so many times. There's so many people that are so capable, and I see them as being capable of building what they're trying to build, but they don't see themselves that way. Mm-hmm. And it leads to such frustrating conversations because 90% of the conversation revolves around their excuses of why they're not getting it done.
Yeah.
And it's so frustrating to me. It's like, you are totally capable. You are a future millionaire. I see it. But if they don't see themselves that way, if it's not part of their identity, good luck trying to convince them.
I love that. You hit on something that I want to make sure that I call out to. So
that's because I'm brilliant.
You are brilliant, man.
I see myself as.
So what do brilliant people do? They do what you're doing right now. No, like when I think about like the excuses in the identity of the person that I used to be, it very much is in alignment with what you were talking about. Like I'd have every excuse in the book. I remember back when I had weight to lose, I was, working LAPD. I had this weight to lose and I was married to Teresa, but I didn't have any kids. And I was very victim mentality, even though I was a police officer, everything happened to me. I didn't have enough time. This happened at court, all this kind of stuff. And what's crazy is when I fast forward about 10 years from there, and I looked at being a sergeant for LAPD and internal affairs, also simultaneously growing a multiple six-figure coaching business, having my own certification, having 2 kids now at this point, trying to become a better husband for Teresa, losing 100 pounds and keeping it off. I just look back at that and I go, wow, like that saying where they say like, when you talk about your excuses, you get to keep them. Man, I was convincing myself all of this time about the excuses. And it just really gets me to think about like how many surface level excuses that I used to bring up and basically convince myself of that actually just kept me stuck and safe. At the time, I didn't realize that the environment that I was in was very toxic that way. And I didn't know what was going on in my own brain. I thought it was like attributed to these other things. And I didn't realize that I could take control over my identity. Everybody always says this. They always ask me what I did to lose the weight, to do part of the equation. They've never asked me who I needed to become in that process. But thinking through like all of the success I had so much to do with who I had to become. And then the doing, I just naturally found the things that I did that would help achieve that level of success. Because the crazy thing is like, we all want to look for the do part of the equation, but like we actually don't take into consideration what we're good at, what we're not good at, like the be part of it, who we are, right? There's a part of that is like the identity piece where you can become somebody different, but there's also a part that's like your superpowers and your strengths. I mean, you can utilize those superpowers and strengths. You will find out the do part of the equation will work out, and it'll actually work out better than you thought. I just want to go a little caveat here. Like, I just want to give you an example.
Mark is famous for his caveats.
Oh my God!
Go follow Modern Leadership on Instagram and YouTube, and you'll see he has given over 10,000 caveats.
I have. Here's 10,001. So the number of coaches that come to me, because a lot of what I do is teach self-leadership and how to coach yourself and how to coach others. The number of coaches who come into my ecosphere and think that they have to grow their coaching business on social media when that is not their strength zone. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've gotten on the conversations with people who are super frustrated. They are amazing coaches. They spent the time, the energy, they developed certifications, all this kind of stuff. And they're trying to force something because maybe somebody told them that's how they have to do it, or they planted a seed of like, hey, this is how everybody else is doing it. And I got to tell you, that's not how everybody else is doing it. There's a portion of people who thrive on social media. By the way, it's not me either. If you go look at my stuff, you'll see 3-4 likes on stuff, but I have a multiple 6-figure business, okay? And you'll see people who are like blowing up with like all these like engagements, and they actually don't have a business, right? So it's not tied to it. When you think about the be part of the equation and who you are, as a coach, we are great at connecting to people. We are great at having a conversation, one-on-one, maybe a small group, like getting in front of people and sharing like the best version of us. We can't necessarily do that in a DM or on social media or on a post or things like that, right? And so when I think about like even having these conversations with some of my clients and just opening the door to them and they go, wow, so I don't have to do this on social media like everybody else? I got to tell you, like a couple of weeks goes by and they come by and they go, guess what? I found 3 clients. I found like, and it's like, I'm being asked to speak and all this. And it's because like the do part of the equation is what they were focused on. They're focused on the doing and thinking, well, I have to do it this way. And I'm like, no, like when you step into who you are and your identity, you got to ask yourself, like, what are my strengths and how could I think about what are some of the activities that I could do that would produce the outcomes that I want? And from there, then you get to have those things. But we always rush to the do. We always rush to the, I got to do Instagram training. I got to do this, right? And it's like we focus so little on the B part of the equation that we actually forget about that. And then we get into, oh, well, this didn't work, so it must mean that there's something wrong. And it has nothing to do with that. It's just you're doing it from either the wrong place of being or you're just doing the wrong activities, right? And that's really what we have to get clear on.
Yeah. When you said earlier how, these people have heard they have to blow up on social media in order to have a successful coaching business. It's like, yeah, you heard that from someone who was probably trying to sell you a course on how to blow up on social media. That's why like leading and looking into tactics first doesn't work because it's what you said before. If you focus on your excuses, you get to keep them. So if you're not, if what you're finding, your tactics are not in alignment with your identity, you're always going to find excuses why it's not working because you're not the person to execute those tactics. The 100%. Tactics are cheap. It's not a question of scarcity of tactics. It's a scarcity of the right mindset that's crushing a lot of people in business.
When you think about the person like that you want to become and like thinking about this belief and thought work, it's something that sometimes people get a little frustrated by. But what you shared right there at the end is a critical piece that you need to remind yourself of. And that is once you become that person, you get to keep that person for the rest of your life. So I don't have to think through whether or not I'm going to eat healthy today or if I'm going to work out. It happens automatically. And that's not going to change for me. It's just a part of who I am. I don't even have to think about it anymore. But it took a lot of energy to really step into who this person is. It wasn't like reading one book. It was like literally level of coaching that I needed to get in order to be able to transform the way that I thought. But now that I put in that work, I never have to give it back. It's something that if everything was taken from me today, I'd be able to figure it out. And that's the part that I want you to grab onto. That's the reason why this is so important to focus on. Because it's something you get to keep forever.
That's right. And people may think that I guess at this point, we're at episode 4 and people know enough about us to know that we're not perfect human beings. We didn't start off this way. We have a long way to go still. We still have a lot of work to do on ourselves. But the thing is, what brought us from where we were to where we are now was the willingness to do that work. We saw ourselves as being capable of being more than we were. And to realize that we had to see, oh, wow, we really have to work on this stuff. And it's so, like you said, it's so frustrating because people that may have spent their entire lives like, this is why I'm not able to do this. This is why, and leading into those excuses that they're getting to keep. They don't realize like how much work. Yes, it is work, but that's not an excuse, especially not in this day and age. There are people like Mark, high performance coaches that are totally willing and able, very able to help you get through these tough spots in your mindset. And Mark did that for me. And somebody did that for him. So you don't have to do this work alone. As a matter of fact, I'd advise nobody try to do this alone. Because you're just going to reinforce your bad habits and bad mindset anyway. Yeah. You need somebody to call. I say call you out. Like you say, Mark, what? Call you forward?
Call you forward?
Yes. You need someone to call you forward to show you your own BS. This is Lux Manifest. I can say BS. You need somebody to point your own BS out to you, call you out on that. And that realization hits, but it does take work, but you don't have to do that work alone is the important thing. A lot of people think they're helpless because they don't know how to get, even if they see that they need to make change, which a lot of people don't. And that's a huge problem. Those are what you call uncoachable people, right?
Yeah.
They don't even see the need for change. They want to get the tactics, get rich quick, the Ralph Cramden, and they don't see the need to change themselves. If that's the case, you're uncoachable. You got to do work before the work. But if you are realizing that you need to change and you need to see yourself a different way and have a different mindset, different outlook, Mark is the best person I know for helping you see that better version of yourself and helping you realize that it's possible, and then helping you to help yourself to get there, which is key.
Thanks for that.
Oh, absolutely. That's coming from the heart, because I wouldn't be the guy I am right now if I'd see myself as the person I am right now, but I wouldn't have been able to get here without you calling me forward on certain things. And, you know, I really appreciate that. And I want to see you be able to spread that impact to more people, which I know is your mission.
Yep.
So you don't have to do it alone. Reach out to Mark. We got the links in the description for you to reach out to Mark. And if Mark is not your person, as we say, we're not trying to sell you. That's okay. We still wish you the absolute best, but do think about finding a coach that does resonate with you, because this work is difficult work and you don't need to make it harder than it needs to be by trying to go it alone.
Yep.
That's how I feel.
I think you crushed it like you always do, man. That's what I think. I think I'm going to listen
see
to some
myself.
Overdrive Radio now.
Oh, Overdrive Radio, link in the description. I see myself as someone that plugs my own IP.
That's because it's good, bro. It is powerful. I was actually listening to it today with my workout. It always gives me like a higher of a calorie burn. I could do the same exact workout, but when I listen to it, it takes it off the charts.
Awesome. Are we ready for our closing thought?
What is it? Let's go.
Every decision you make is a vote for the person you're becoming. You don't become successful all at once. You become successful one consistent choice at a time. Not because you're chasing success, but because you're becoming someone who naturally creates it. Success isn't built by accident. It's built by identity. Be, do, have. Don't just dream about a better future. Become the person who can build it. All right. We will see you guys on the next episode of Lux Manifest, the podcast.
Goodbye.
Oh, wait,
Bye, everybody.
wait. Keep leading from the front. Say it.
Wait. And keep leading from the front.
Yes.